Hello, the world. This is They Will Kill, a true crime podcast. I am Courtney Eck.
And I'm Sadie Eck.
And it's Sadie's night. And I'm wearing a fancy shirt in honor of it. If you can come on over to YouTube and see my fancy shirt. I've got ruffle sleeves, flowers, hood.
It's very cute.
I'm distracted by my own shirt, but I'll wrap it up about the shirt and let Sadie tell us a terrible tale of murder.
Tonight, I'm going to tell you the mysterious disappearance of Patty Bolugh, Renee Brhul, and Ann Miller. On July 2nd, 1966, three friends, 19-year-olds Patty Bolugh and Renee Brhul, and 21-year-old Ann Miller, arrived at the Indiana Dunes State Park, which is now known as the Indiana State Dunes National Shoreline.
I live right next to this, you guys. This is a hometown for me. I've never heard of this.
I was poking around somewhere online, and they were talking about the Lake Michigan Triangle. Have you heard?
Nope.
And so I was like, ooh, I'm going to do a Lake Michigan Triangle. Turns out it's a rectangle. Turns out it's not actually anything. It's just somebody wrote a book about the Lake Michigan Triangle at the same time, like right after the Bermuda Triangle came out and became such a smash. So somebody else wanted to like do the same thing.
Wanted to hop on the trend of water that eats things
right.
Ships and shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Lake Michigan will suck a damn boat down and a person.
Sure. And we're going to talk about that.
Yes. She is hungry.
But it's all like, it's not, there's nothing supernatural about it. It's just a bitch. Yeah. The lake is.
It's just a very, very dangerous body of water. Be warned.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, while I was looking into the Lake Michigan rectangle or triangle, I came across this story.
Crazy.
So the three were heading to the state park at around 10 a.m. Those who saw the friends that day described them as cheerful, chatting with each other, smiling and laughing. They hiked to a spot approximately 100 yards from the Lake Michigan shoreline where they left their belongings. Around noon, a couple who was also on the beach witnessed the three women enter the water. Soon after, they watched as they started talking to a man who was operating a, quote, 14 to 16 foot white boat with a blue interior and an outboard motor. Mm-hmm. After chatting for a few minutes, the women got onto the boat, which then started up and headed west. Hours would pass, and when the couple packed up for the day and started walking back to the parking lot, they noticed the women's belongings were still where they had left them.
Don't get on strange boats. No.
Worried, the couple alerted park rangers at their station. The ranger who went to investigate first assumed that the women decided to go on a moonlight boat ride, which wasn't unusual, and would be back for their stuff later, so he took their items to the office for safekeeping. Mm-hmm. Because it was the 4th of July weekend, the beach was very busy, and Patty, Renee, and Ann were temporarily forgotten. It wasn't until Patty's father, Harold, called the ranger station on July 5th to ask if the women had been there, that the rangers remembered that they had collected the women's belongings, which were still at the station.
Oh, no. God.
I know. Patty's father told the ranger that they hadn't made it home after what was supposed to be a quick day trip. The ranger found Ann's Buick still in the parking lot. Her car keys were with her belongings at the station. Inside the car, they found items of women's clothing and other personal effects, but nothing of interest. There was no sign that the women had returned to the beach after their boat trip. Concerned, the park rangers contacted other law enforcement agencies, including the United States Coast Guard, and a search for the missing friends finally began on July 5th, 3 days after the women disappeared. Mm-hmm. So Patty and Renee had been friends since high school and lived in the suburbs of Chicago. They met Ann at the horse stables where all three women kept horses. Patty and Renee both enjoyed Ann's company, and the three became good friends. Patty worked as a secretary for 6 months for the Sears and Roebuck Company after graduating high school, and it said she spent her summers in Wisconsin at her parents' lake cottage becoming an expert swimmer. This all feels like so...
My life.
Yeah, well, and like, I don't know, just so 60s. Like so
It's so
60s.
Midwestern, 60s,
Yes.
lake life. Yep.
Yeah. So despite loving the water, her true love was her horses. Just before her disappearance, her prize horse, Hank, had won a race in Winnipeg, Canada.
All horses should be named Hank. All horses. I
think
hereby
everything-
decree all horses should be named Hank. It doesn't make sense to name a horse anything but Hank. Male,
Right.
female, Hank.
So sweet. Pigs,
Yep.
goats. I mean, pretty much everything should just be
Yeah,
named
but
Hank.
horses, always Hank. Always. No arguing with me about it.
The win had happened so recently that Patty hadn't even had time to collect her winnings, which totaled around $900, which would be about $8,000 today.
Whoa. Oh, God. Fucking inflation gets
dude.
me every time. Wow.
And as of like 3 months ago, it would be $10,500.
$250,000.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So after graduation, Renee married her high school sweetheart and completed a 1-year medical technology training at her local college. She and Patty would spend their weekends together at the stables with their horses, where they met Anne, who worked at the stable exercising the horses. The three became fast friends. Authorities learned that on the day they disappeared, Anne left her home at 8 a.m. to pick up her 2 friends to spend the day at the beach. It was going to be in the 90s that day, so they wanted to escape the heat. Anne and Patty had visited Lake Michigan the week prior and had enjoyed the visit enough to return, but this time they brought Renee along. Anne first went to Patty's home. Before she left, Patty told her mother that they would be back early that night because Renee wanted to be home in time to make dinner for her husband. After getting Renee, they drove to the beach, stopping at a drugstore on the way for suntan lotion, which one of the articles said it was like $1.33, and I was like, God, that's expensive suntan lotion in the 60s.
No,
That would be
because that would equal
$500.
$250. I just did the math in my head real quick. $250. Yeah. Suntan lotion is expensive.
That's
weirdly
true.
expensive. Anyway.
So while police searched through the women's belongings, they found Renee left her towel, shorts, blouse, cigarettes, suntan lotion, the $250 suntan lotion, 25 cents in her purse, which had about $55 in checks on the beach. So she left all of that on the beach.
Yep.
Of interest to police, they found an unsent letter in Renee's purse that she wrote to her husband saying she wanted to leave their marriage because he spent too much time with friends, quote, working on hot rod cars.
This is the most 60s Midwestern story
It really is
possible.
So much, yes.
So much.
So at first, police thought this could be a lead, but after talking to Renee's family and her husband, they believed the note was written in anger after a fight Renee had with her husband, but that she didn't really want to leave him. When she was 21, or maybe she was
Right.
19. I think she was 19. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I just can, and it's like what you do at 19 and get in a fight, and I'm going to leave him. He's
Seriously.
working too much on his hot ride cars. I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to teach him
Far
a
too much
lesson.
time down at the supper club.
Hop.
Just say supper club because that's a northern Midwestern thing. And
Nice.
back then you could drink in Wisconsin when you were 18. So
Right. I said sock hop because 60s. The other 2 friends also left their purses, towels, and shoes behind. It seemed like they fully planned to return after a short boat ride.
of course.
Because of the heat and the fact that it was a holiday weekend, almost 9,000 visitors were at the beach the day the friends disappeared.
Yeah, it is the biggest holiday. 4th of
Yes.
July around here. Forget about it.
Yeah.
People go down at like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning to stake out their spot on the beach and like set up all the chairs before, and then the family comes down later, but it's so busy.
Yeah, it's actually kind of shocking. I mean, it's not once you go for the first time, but having not
Yeah.
grown up going, it's so beautiful, but people go
Free for all.
Yeah. So multiple witnesses came forward with the same story of Patty, Renee, and Anne getting on a boat with a man who's described as being in his mid to late 20s, with a tan complexion and wavy dark hair. He was said to be wearing a beach jacket, which I meant to look up to see what that is exactly. Is it like a robe?
I am unfamiliar with beach jacket. I'm intrigued by beach jacket, though.
For those that watch on YouTube, I'll find a picture. I'll post it right now. Other eyewitnesses came forward saying they had also seen the women, but later in the day. Witnesses said they saw the friends eating on the beach and walking the dunes. The earlier sightings were believed to be more reliable, but police couldn't rule out the possibility the trio had returned later in the day. Someone who had been filming home movies on the beach that day turned them over to police, hoping it would produce more leads.
Early CCTV.
I know. Seriously. The video showed 2 boats that may have been the ones the women boarded. One was a 16 to 18 foot long trimaran runabout with a 3-hold design driven by a man that fit the eyewitness's description. 3 women can be seen in the boat as well, matching the friend's description, the missing friends. Then, 3 hours after the women were seen leaving the beach, a second boat, a 26 to 28 foot long Trojan cabin cruiser, can be seen with 3 men aboard, along with 3 women, matching Anne, Patty, and Renee's description.
Dang it.
So the larger boat had what looked like a radio telephone antenna on it, but it did not have a visible name painted on the side, making it much harder to identify. The footage was shot far away from the shoreline and was grainy, so it was hard to be sure if it was the missing women they saw in the video. But after watching the footage, investigators believed it was possible that after boarding the smaller boat and leaving the beach for a few hours, the women may have been dropped back off on the beach by the driver of the smaller boat, while he drove back to retrieve 2 male friends and their cabin cruiser.
That is actually totally feasible.
Something that happens. Yeah.
100%. Yes. People park their boats, jump from boat to boat. Yes.
Right.
Totally. Could happen.
So, yeah, this one dude gave him a little lake tour, said, hey,
Yep.
I've got friends with a bigger boat.
Yeah.
I'm going to go get him. I'll come back and get you in a little bit.
Yeah. They've got the beer. Let's go over there. You'll all be very surprised to learn that Midwesterners fucking love boats. They love boats. Cannot get enough. I don't love boats. I'm not on team boat. And you know why? Wind. I fucking hate wind.
Totally.
And boats produce maximum wind. Pontoon, yes, 100% all day, all night. A flat thing on the water with margarita.
Yes.
Sign me up. All other boats, get me out of here. Especially all day. You have to talk to these people all day. Like, I watch girls get on boats with strangers. I'm like, you better hope that you like them because you're going to have a conversation with them all day.
Right.
Period.
Yeah, you're going to have to watch them like shotgun beers all day.
Yes, and play their music selection. What are these? Yeah. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. You don't know. You don't know. It's the 60s. How do you play music on the boat in the 60s? I don't know. Radios? Did radios exist?
One of the girls, I guess I didn't, yeah, right? Color radios. One of the girls brought a radio and left it behind. So let's see.
Color radios.
Because it's the 60s.
Oh, I'm just thinking because you were making a joke about color TV, but you can't
I was.
Okay.
I know.
Okay, good.
I was. Now listening to this music in color.
Best joke ever.
It's been a long day.
Just run with it. Just take that joke as far as you can.
I'm gonna pitch it to some radio companies.
Oh my god.
RAC. I'm trying to think of radio makers.
Stop while you're ahead.
All right. So witnesses, including a lifeguard and an Indiana lawyer, told detectives that they had seen 3 women climb aboard the larger boat with 3 men. So there was some eyewitness accounts to back up the video.
Got it.
At the time, the Coast Guard estimated there were 5,000 to 6,000 boats in the water between Chicago and the Dunes State Park that day. So finding the boat the women had left on would be nearly impossible unless someone came forward saying they had been with the women that day.
Yep. Averages
So
one boat
many.
per person.
God, it's so
I
many
swear.
boats.
I swear. Midwesterners fucking love boats, man. They all have one. They don't even necessarily like have a, properly running car, but they'll have a boat.
Right. Yes.
Not
Or they'll
joking.
have like a very fancy car and not a house.
Yeah, seriously. Live in like a crappy apartment, but then have like super nice cars and boats.
Yep.
It's fine. Get to do what you love.
I love
And
it.
they do.
I think it's, yeah.
They also hang out in their garages, as I've talked about before. Perfectly good houses, huge yards. They hang out in their garages. It's probably so they can look at their boats.
Yeah. Mine, I have a neighbor who sits in his garage with a huge TV next to the car, like a hot rod sort of car.
Yep.
That he never drives. But he'll turn the radio on, he'll watch TV and listen to the car stereo.
Yep.
In his garage. It's like his favorite thing to do.
Hoosier culture, Midwestern culture.
So despite an exhaustive search of the lake and the lake shore, they searched the shoreline going all the way to Michigan City. So the searchers started at the dunes and went all the way down to Michigan City, which they're not close together.
So far.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes by car. So however long it takes to walk that's fucking far.
The women were never found, and the men they might have been with never came forward.
What?
I know. The search included talking to nearby residents and checking hundreds of cabins and outbuildings, but no one in the area had witnessed the missing friends or saw anything suspicious.
Damn it.
So a few days after the search for the three friends began, debris from a possible boat wreck was discovered near the Bailey Generating Station of Northern Indiana Public Service Company on Lake Michigan. The Coast Guard inspected reports, but they found no one who had reported a missing boat. Other than Patty, Ann, and Renee, no one else had gone missing that day.
What the heck?
An air patrol of the area was ordered, but no more debris was found, and there was still no trace of the three women. So divers were also sent to search the water around the wreckage, but they found nothing of interest. As word spread about the missing women, people from Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, and Chicago called police to say they had seen them after the disappearance on July 2nd, but none of these sightings could be confirmed. And I get the impression that from even the pictures I've seen, that they were like young, pretty girls, but there wasn't anything like easily identified. Right. So, like, oh yeah, we saw three friends on a bus.
Yeah.
Three
young brunette women. Yep.
After searching for more than a week, authorities felt confident that alive or dead, the three friends were not at the beach or in the lake. This meant they had either become the victims of foul play and had been taken against their will, or they had run away on their own. I think one of the articles I read was the sheriff was like, we're expecting, as awful as it sounds, like now is the time that their bodies would come ashore.
Yep.
And so we're just sort of now waiting for that to happen.
Right.
Because this is a time where there would be enough decomposition.
Yep.
Yeah, awful. But that never happened.
God.
So as their case went cold, rumors about their disappearance started to spread. The most popular theory of what happened to the friends was that they had simply drowned. Despite the fact that all three women were known as strong swimmers, Lake Michigan is a true beast and can be very dangerous.
Very.
Statistically, more victims drown at Lake Michigan in a year than the other four lakes combined.
Totally.
Lake Michigan's rip currents and cold waters are surprisingly deadly.
But it's not, I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't know if there's any cases of three women drowning. Like sometimes there's one person goes in and another person tries to help them. But the odds of all three of them drowning sounds very low.
Well, and I think even if all three of them did drown, one of their bodies, and I'll talk about it more later, but like one of their bodies would have come to the shore. And
somebody who was with them would have called the Coast Guard. They would have said something about it.
Yes. Right. Like if they got on a boat.
Yeah.
Yes. That person on the boat. Unless yes.
So
if they had accidentally drowned.
Yeah.
That I think we would have figured that out by now, is my guess.
Yes.
Unless, I mean, I'm sure that there is some slim possibility that they had an accidental drowning. The people with them
Nobody
drowned. It was just
reported
like,
it.
yeah, there was no missing boat. Like,
no.
I guess that could happen, but it doesn't seem likely.
Yeah, it's not that big of a lake.
No. But if the 3 had drowned, it's very likely, well, just what we talked about, at least one, if not all 3 bodies would have been found. Not to mention that large searches were conducted by plane spanning most of the lower part of the lake looking for the women's bodies, but they never surfaced. So for even months later, and I'm going to talk about it more at the end, but Patty's dad, who was a pilot, just couldn't stop searching. So he'd take his plane out and search and search and search and search. One of the girls was wearing a bright yellow bathing suit, and he was looking for that.
Yeah.
And just they never showed up.
So eerie.
Yeah. So some believed that both Anne and Patty were pregnant at the time of their disappearance.
Whoa.
Supposedly, Anne had told friends that she was about 3 months pregnant and that the father of the baby was married.
Eesh.
Patty was known to have so that was Anne. And now Patty was known to have a boyfriend who was an ex-convict and a rodeo cowboy.
Oh, God. This just gets more and more 60s Midwestern. Sounds so hot. I would have an affair with that person.
Oh, me
no
too.
question. No
Are you
question.
kidding?
Yes.
19 and
yes,
dating the ex-convict
rodeo convicts.
cowboy. Come on.
Yes.
At the time of her disappearance, her boyfriend was in California. He admitted to police that they had been romantic, but denied she was pregnant. Not like she would tell him anyway.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Right.
So because this was before Roe v. Wade, some believe the 3 went to the beach to meet up with someone who was willing to provide an abortion to one or both of the friends on their boat.
Dirty Dancing. That's intense.
Right?
That's intense. But, I mean, who knows? You never know.
You never
Maybe.
know.
Yeah.
So those that believe this theory say that something could have gone wrong during the procedure and that all 3 women were killed so they wouldn't go to the police and turn the men in who did the procedure.
You're right. That's a stretch, but maybe.
Yeah. So a man named Ralph Largo Jr., who admitted to being on the beach that day, matched the unknown man seen with the missing women on the boat. His aunt and uncle, Helen and Frank Largo, performed illegal abortions at the time. But no connection between them and the missing women was ever found.
Whoa.
Also, and this is sort of my own notes,
Yeah.
if this theory were true, wouldn't all 3 women want to have their clothing? Like,
Right.
especially the one who was getting the procedure.
Right.
They entered the boat by getting into more than waist deep water.
Yep.
Would someone who just had an abortion want to get back into her wet bathing suit, get back on a boat if she'd left it, and then have to swim back to the beach after having the medical procedure done?
Right.
Not to mention the heat, the sand, the long walk back through the dunes to get to the car. It just seems like there's way easier ways
Yeah.
to have an abortion done, even if a boat was needed to get there.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
even if they did a boat abortion, they could go to a dock where the boat could go to the dock, like, and get on the boat and go away.
Meet me at the dock. Yeah, I'm not going to, like, pick you up on an extremely crowded beach where people
on
see
4th of
me
July
and
weekend.
stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And not bring anything that I might need to be slightly more comfortable.
Right. That's pretty rude. It's pretty rude of that illegal abortion doctor, if that's the case.
Right. So I think no.
Good points.
Not even for a second.
Good points.
Another possible lead was the connection all three women had to the Tricolor Stables in Palatine, Illinois. It's possible that Patricia and Anne had connections or knew people in the, quote, criminal horse market.
Now we're talking again.
No.
Yes. And actually, the criminal horse market is deep.
Yes.
Some dangerous shit, man.
Yeah.
Weirdly.
No, it's dark. Shit's getting dark here in a sec.
Yeah. Well, horses are rich people things, and rich people things get fucking dark. So,
And criminals
tell me everything.
take advantage of rich horse people.
Yes. Yes. It's a great
So
way to
this-
hide money, etc.
Right.
For real.
So this stable in particular was known for working with the, quote, horse syndicate. Okay, so you guys, I loved horses when I was growing up.
She was a horse
I
girl.
loved it. I rode them. I collected figurines. I loved horses. And I'm really kind of sad I never got into the criminal horse market.
I know. What was that? What was that maritime term that we talked, like the shark brigade or whatever? Remember that from several stories ago? There's like the shark brigade that reviews all shark related attacks, and they ruled it not shark.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I encourage all children to join the criminal horse syndicate or the shark.
What did we call
brigade? I can't remember.
I don't remember, but I could be like the detective that focuses on breaking apart the horse syndicate.
Yeah, because you have to ride a horse to do it, because you'd be undercover.
Yes. God, it'd be like sexy with my horse boots.
Yeah, your little cap, your little helmet, a little roundy helmet. English.
That's
little
right.
whip. Little crop.
So the horse syndicate is a criminal network involving trainers, veterinarians, owners, and riders who would kill horses to collect insurance money. Wow. And there's a lot of other bad shit that they did, but that was like one of the main ways.
Wow.
Yeah. And even darker, in June of 1965, a year before our three friends disappeared, a woman named Cheryl Ann Rood, whose husband, George Jane, owned the stable. So Cheryl Ann, her husband George, owned the stable that the girls had horses at, right?
Yep.
So Cheryl Ann was killed in a car bombing when she went to move her husband's Cadillac.
This is 100% horse syndicate. 100%. Case closed. Say no more. There's no question. There's no question in my mind.
No. So before the murder, George had entered into a bitter dispute with his brother Silas. Silas and George were bitter rivals, and Silas was also part of the horse syndicate. Mm-hmm. It's believed that Silas was responsible for putting a hit on his brother, but in 1997, another man was charged with the crime. So it took a very long time to get to the bottom of Ruth Ann.
Who did it?
Mm-hmm. Cheryl Ann's murder. So 4 months before she went missing, Patty had a visible facial injury. Mm-hmm. When people asked what happened, she said she got it from, quote, syndicate horse people.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Case closed.
Yep. An acquaintance of Patty's also told police that she had once said she planned to disappear and go where no one would find her. Mm. To make matters even more suspicious, George and Silas's phone numbers were discovered in the belongings left behind in Anne's car.
I don't need to hear another word. I'm done. My mind is made up.
Yep. So George Jane was ultimately murdered in 1970 when he was shot and killed on his son's 16th birthday.
Oh, God. People, just be kind. Just be up and up.
Seriously. Oh, Uncle Silas killing his brother on his nephew's birthday.
Over horses. So fucked up.
Silas was later convicted of his brother's murder after evidence showed he'd been the one to arrange the hit on his brother. Sometime following Anne, Patty, and Renee's disappearance, Silas allegedly made a confession to a local sheriff, saying that 3 bodies were buried on his land. The sheriff took the claim seriously and started to make plans to search the property, but died from an apparent farming accident before the search could take place.
Horse syndicate goes deep. It runs deep. It gets. They are wrecking columbines, cutting brake lines, getting in silos.
Yes.
Making
let me tell you even more. Yes.
Oh my God.
So to make matters more suspicious, a known associate of Silas's, his name was Ed Neffield, was also charged in the death of George.
What?
Yep. So Ed was a police officer. And was the go-between Silas and the hitman who killed George, and probably knew the sheriff, right?
Yep.
In the farming accident.
On the payroll. Holy shit.
Yes. So a few days after Patty, Renee, and Ann went missing, I just forgot about this part.
Oh my God. Tell me everything.
Okay, so not only is Ed a police officer and probably killed a sheriff, allegedly. So after the three friends went missing, Ed submitted an insurance claim for a boat he owned that was destroyed in an accidental fire.
Bing, 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 bing.
So police say they looked into the women's connections to Silas and the horse syndicate, but never found any evidence to connect him to their disappearance.
Yeah, because the cop right under the rug. Yes. Don't worry about those files. Don't worry about all those like myriad connections between these ladies and this guy.
No.
That son of a bitch.
I know. I found this really thorough, well-done article in the 80s about this case in the Chicago Tribune. And they covered all sorts of different theories. They did not even get close to the horse syndicate.
It's a mob town, babe. That's why all the mayors have gone to jail for the last 50 years. The mob runs Chicago, runs the whole area. Supper clubs are all up in their supper clubs, riding on their boats.
Totally.
In Michigan City, they got fucking houses that are quote unquote shaped like guns because the mobsters, this is where they had their beach, their summer homes.
So Silas died in 1987, but is still considered a suspect in the disappearance of a different woman. 66-year-old Helen Brock. Helen became a multi-millionaire when she married into the E.J. Brock & Sons Candy Company.
Cute.
You know, the hard candies and the
I say
candies
the
you see all the time,
like Starlight Mints and shit.
Yeah,
I feel like they have Starlight Mints. That's adorable.
Yep. So she disappeared on February 17th, 1977. And it's believed she may have been killed after unknowingly getting involved with the horse syndicate. Silas was known to target wealthy middle-aged or older women with little knowledge of the horse business who had recently been widowed or divorced. He would then sell horses to these women for much, much more than they were worth. Before Helen disappeared, she had an appraiser come to the stable to look at some horses she wanted to buy. The appraiser told her not to. So she had already bought some horses from Silas, and then he was like, here, come buy more. The appraiser came and said, no way, these are not worth.
And not only should you not buy these horses, those horses aren't worth near as much as you paid for them.
Right. Yep. So it's possible she was then alerted to the scam and was planning to turn Silas and his associates in.
Damn it.
Helen has never been found and was declared legally dead in May of 1984.
Son of a bitch.
I know. Other than his brother's murder, Silas was never charged for any of these other crimes, including the disappearance of Anne, Patty, and Renee. So I think it's possible maybe the girls saw they knew something about the car bombing.
Yep.
They learned too much about the horse syndicate.
Yep.
I mean, who knows? But it just seems very likely that this organized crime business.
Yep. That they were brushing right up against. Yes. Yeah,
Patty coming home. And it was either the rodeo cowboy, who's also probably part of the syndicate.
Right.
Like giving her a black eye but something happened.
Yeah. They set it up so that they would be there with a boat to pick up the girls, or it was just like a perfect coincidence that they ran into the girls on the beach and they got on their boat because that's what 19-year-old girls do. And it didn't go well. Yep. 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
Especially around here. That's just the kind of it's just the kind of way it is out here.
Yeah.
It's still kind of locked in the 60s, which is what I like about it. Not much has changed since then, and it's still very, it's a beach community. It's like it is just like Dirty Dancing. Like it's just very,
it really is.
Like stuck in time, and there's a really specific culture. And it's like kind of rough and super fun and boats and drinking and lake and tons of horses too. I live right next to a horse stable.
Horse syndicate, Courtney.
Yeah.
So now that nearly 60 years has passed, it's like unlikely we'll ever know what happened to the three friends that day.
Oof.
So, and no matter what the cause, no matter what caused these women to go missing, it's important to note how dangerous Lake Michigan really is.
Yes.
For those who may not realize, the Great Lakes are truly, quote, great. They're
Yes.
huge, humongous.
I cannot shake my head hard enough for anybody who's planning to visit a Great Lake, especially Lake Michigan. Don't go in it. Don't do it, guys. God, I cannot stress it strongly enough.
I know.
And if the water is acting crazy, stay out.
Yes. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot, like letting the boys swim in Lake
Yeah.
Michigan when we visit, and just how much more careful I'll be. Like
Yeah.
really fully understanding that. A few times I've gone in and like you just get pulled away. It's wild.
So fast, yes.
Yeah.
And luckily you're with people who know what to look for. It's really specific. You can tell what the water's doing when it's doing the wrong thing. And people will alert each other on the beach. They'll be like, today is not the day, guys. Like,
Yeah.
you know, and getting in up to your hips, your waist or whatever is fine. Don't go past like the sandbar and stuff. But people just swim on out. People get out in their boats and dive in. And like my friend's son died off of a boat just a couple years ago. It's like constant. It's
Yeah.
terrifying. And like the public beach, there's a pier where the lighthouse is, and so there's a long wall that goes out to where the lighthouse is, and kids get caught up against that thing all the fucking time.
Yeah,
It's
that
just
was
devastating.
The one big thing, all of the articles I read was like, do not swim anywhere near
Ever.
those out structures. Like, don't
Ever.
go anywhere near them. You will get trapped.
Yeah, because you get
Yeah.
stuck up against it, sucked underneath it, and you're a
Can't get
goner.
out. Yep.
Yep, it's so sad.
So sad. Yeah. So the lakes can be properly referred to as inland seas, and though the water is fresh, they have the same hazards as the ocean.
Yep.
And I think that's the other thing. People are like, "Oh, it's a lake. I'll be fine." Nope.
I can't go anywhere. Yeah, it's got a tide. It's a wind tide, but there is a tide and rip currents just like the ocean. And they're less predictable because it's based on the weather and not on the moon. So it's not like, you kind of understand the strength of the ocean for the most part. Like the lake, it turns on a dime. It can completely change. And you get Midwestern weather out here. Fucking thunderstorms and hurricanes and tornadoes. Not hurricanes, tornadoes and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we do get affected by hurricanes, but
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So the sudden storms, rapidly changing conditions, and hidden obstructions have claimed their share of planes, boats, and people's lives.
Yep.
It's estimated that nearly 300,000 people have died in Lake Michigan alone, and
I
nearly
believe it.
10,000 ships have sunk into the lake.
Well, see that just so nope. I am
10,000.
that is so
Yep.
bizarre.
Yeah, and back in the day, it was a super, like shipping lane. Basically, they used
Yeah,
it all the
yeah.
time to get ship places, around the
especially
Midwest.
between like Canada and
Yeah, like coal and iron ore, and so we're talking big ships too, not just
Yep.
like little dinghies. But in
No.
the lake, sunk into the bottom.
nope. I have a severe fear of water, and that's exactly why. No.
No, yep.
Do what
So
you
because-
want with like walking home alone at night and keeping your windows unlocked, all that kind of stuff. I'm not a huge advocate for that level of safety, but don't get in the water. Get out of the water. It's spooky. There's animals, ships, strength. It's going to get you and take you down. Get out of there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And something interesting I didn't really think about Lake Michigan, but one of the reasons it's so dangerous is because of the way that it's shaped. So the shores run 307 miles in either direction, and they're parallel. So it's
Right.
basically like a wind tunnel lake,
Yep.
which causes unique wave shapes,
Yep.
and that contributes to the deadly riptides.
Yep. Yeah, because once they get you, they just go, like you can watch them go. They go so fast down the coast. So you just get completely sucked away.
Yeah, for
Before you know it.
307 miles until you get to the other end of it.
Stay out of the water. Stay out of the water. Don't do it.
Yeah. So storms
Look
can
at it.
also
It's lovely. Get out of it.
Yep.
Not worth it.
Storms can also produce massive waves that can easily take out ships, not to mention knock over unsuspecting swimmers or beachcombers.
I'm going to pass out.
So in 2021, there were 98 Great Lake drownings in
Yep.
just that year. 47 of those happened in Lake Michigan.
Yep.
More than half.
Yep. It's constant.
Yep. So we'll bring it back around to the girls.
Yes.
Patty's father, Harold, was never able to stop searching for his daughter.
Ugh, God.
Being a pilot himself, he spent years flying over the area where his daughter went missing, taking aerial pictures, and then looking through them carefully, hoping to see something that would lead to his daughter and her friends.
Devastating.
He told reporters in 1986, 20 years after Patty went missing, quote, "If I can find one small fact that will be of use to the police. In my heart, I believe this was an abduction. My daughter is a regular reader of the newspapers. If she were free to move, she would have read newspaper accounts of the search for her and her friends, and she would have come home."
Yep.
He also told them, quote, "If she were running away, she would have taken more clothing and her contact lenses, her cosmetics case, and the keys for her car. Besides, she was completely wrapped up in her horse. She would not have walked out on Hank."
Oh, come on. I die of it.
I know. Unfortunately, Harold will never know what happened to Patty, Renee, or Anne. He died in 1987 at the age of 80 after retiring with his wife to Florida. And that's it. That's the story of the Lake Michigan rectangle and the disappearance of Patty, Renee, and Anne.
Somebody knows. Somebody in the horse syndicate. Somebody knows. Yep. Yeah, those girls didn't drown. No way.
No.
There's no way.
And if the horse syndicate didn't do it, then they got on the boat with like 10 Bundy.
The wrong people.
Ted Bundy or something, you know. Like
Totally. Yeah. I could definitely see you're drunk, you're hot. Like, people act like lunatics. It's chaos down there. I could definitely see them getting on some boats with the wrong dudes, and things go south and they can't let the girls off the boat, and that's the end of that story.
Yep.
Yeah. But somebody knows where they are.
Yep.
For sure.
You go get a bigger boat, take them wherever you want.
Yep. Oh,
to go to Canada. Like, it's...
Yeah. No, thank you very much. And right here, you're like, drive an hour and you're in the middle of absolute nowhere. Drive 6 hours and you are literally in the middle. It's like Alaska, basically. You know, it's so
Seriously.
remote. It's just too cold. Nobody lives up here.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of wild spaces to dispose of young women, unfortunately.
No. So I'm putting this in the list of things I want to know when I go to heaven.
Seriously, what do you guys think? What happened to them?
Don't get involved with horse syndicates.
That's at a bare minimum. Stay out of the lake and stay away from the horses. Well, hang out with the horses. Stay away from the horse people.
That's right.
God.